Welcome back to Hope at Dawn, looking at what is being reported in the dailies this morning.
Yes.
And the Daily Nation, they are going with the headline, Death Traps in Schools. So they're saying the increased enrollment without sufficient expansion of facilities is a ticking time bomb. Families of these children who died in schools under unclear circumstances are demanding answers for the tragedies. More alarming is the congestion in learning institutions. Now, one primary school in Mwiki has 5,000 pupils crammed in an area that the size of a football pitch, that some teachers warn is a disaster waiting to happen. It's a story on pages 6, 7, and 8, and I'm wondering, so what are we waiting to happen before action is taken? Is it that we are waiting for a disaster? Yet this has been highlighted. Teachers themselves have raised an alarm over the same. So safety standards manual, classrooms should accommodate a maximum of 40 learners. Sharing of beds is prohibited, hence admissions linked to bed capacity. In dormitories, the space between the beds should be at least 1.2 meters. Corridors should not be less than 2 meters. All doorways should be at least 5 feet wide. Each dormitory should have a door at both ends. At least 4 pit latrines for every 30 learners. So it's they're calling them death traps, and these are places that are supposed to be safe for our children, but instead have turned into death places for the same sad stories there. All right, I also see Ruto wants total loyalty from Kenya Kwanza MPs. President Ruto has reprimanded Kenya Kwanza legislators who are opposing government policies, including levies to fund housing and healthcare projects. As Parliament considers the Affordable Housing Bill of 2023, the government is banking on to continue collecting a controversial levy. President insisted MPs from the governing coalition must ensure passage of the proposed law. Read that on page 5. NAT wants families of teachers killed by bandits compensated. That is the National Union of Teachers Secretary General Collins Oyu lamenting the rising numbers of tutors killed in regions scarred by banditry. The union demands state compensation for victims of the attacks. Read that story on page number 14. I also see public debt surges past 11 trillion shillings. That is on the back page, and they are saying external loan disbursements, exchange rate fluctuation, and domestic debt uptick cause increase. So the country's public debt shot up by 1.93 trillion in the year ended December 2023, raising the country's indebtedness to a new high of 11.14 trillion Kenyan shillings, translating to a daily increase of 2.5 billion shillings for the entire 2023. All right. Kenya is racing to unlock 9 billion shillings US funds to boost the transport network. So the National Treasury has moved to unlock 8.5 billion shillings grant by the US government with the creation of a special basket into which the funds would be channeled for use in traffic improvement projects in Nairobi, Kisumu, and Mombasa. That is also another story you can read on the back page of the Daily Nation. I also see on page 10 inside the Daily Nation, Kenya Power billed Kenyans an extra 70 billion shillings. Yeah. As in, so according to a Nation analysis, auditor report showed EPRA added illegal levies on monthly fuel surcharge. So the consumers paid an extra 70.35 billion in exaggerated power bills over the 5 years to February 2023 after EPRA added illegal levies on their monthly fuel surcharge. So who protects consumers?
Oh my goodness.
Because EPRA should be sued, if you ask me, because of charging an illegal levy, which does not exist in law. but they were charging the same over a lifespan of 5 years.
5 good years.
So the same, they should refund actually. They should be made to refund because it's an
70
illegal levy.
and that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
In someone's or some people's pockets.
Yes.
70.5 billion.
Imagine. Surely.
I'm even wondering at this point, how many more illegal levies do we have in other sectors?
Good question. Good question.
My. That's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
All right, on page 2, forensic team has been dispatched to probe Kiptum road crash. Champion and his coach were on their way to watch the AFCON football tournament final. And so the DCI has dispatched a forensics team to look into the death of world marathon record holder Kelvin Kiptum and his Rwandan coach Gervais Hakizamana ahead of their burial this week. I also see captured fugitive to remain in custody until the 27th of February. So murder suspect Kang'ethe will remain at high security industrial area remand prison. So the application by the DPP to have Kang'ethe remanded has merit, as police who were allowed to keep him are the subject of investigation to ascertain how he escaped. That's according to Chief Magistrate Lucas Onyina. Read that inside the Daily Nation.
All right.
Yes, so also in the Nation, the DN2 pullout today. The Healthy Nation is the pullout today.
Yeah.
And they have a story here. Kill me quick, the man with a death wish. So Joe Mudukiza has spent the better part of his life fighting sickle cell anemia and now wants to be assisted to end his life. Could a loophole in our healthcare and legal systems send this 28-year-old to a Belgian death group? It's a story you can read on page 4 and 5 inside the DN2 pullout. Then you can go to the business section. Crisis as parastatals fail to remit pension deductions. The state-owned entities have not remitted 42.06 billion shillings in employer contributions. So thousands of the workers could retire without their pensions again. And yet this is a monthly deduction that should be paid to the pension scheme, but the same is not being remitted. And so many people who could actually be retiring could do so without getting their pension money. 20,000 families added to flood insurance scheme. This is in Tana River. The World page, they're saying solidarity with Palestine, key agenda at AU summit. South Africa hailed for filing an application against Israel at the ICJ. That is the World News. And then the sports news, we have Coach Hakizimana's trip to Kenya and his first meeting with Kelvin Kiptum. Peers remember Rono as affable, gifted teammate. It's on page 34 and 35. And then I see Gore dream again as Shabana in trouble. AFC Leopards hold Homeboys to stretch unbeaten run to 8 matches. That is in the Daily Nation.
All right, and just to look at some of the highlights here on the Standard is that Raila AU job bid splits in that is Azimio principles. I see leaders say the least ODM Supremo should have done is to inform them of the deals he was cutting with the president as a sign of respect and also good behavior. And Raila here, we have Kalonzo Musyoka saying that I will endeavor to use my networks to see that Raila gets the position. Instead of fighting to be president here, he will now be working with all the 54 presidents. And I also see here Jeremiah Kioni, who is the Jubilee Party Secretary General, saying that I view the move as an individual and family decision, and I will have to live by that. But for the unity and cohesiveness of the Azimio coalition, if I was in his shoes, I would have updated my fellow partners. And on the top page of the Standard as well, I see here Ruto rails at his party MPs over performance, a story you can find on page 5. I also see here cabinet face-off as ministers rate time in office. President William Ruto is expected to outline his second-year vision after cabinet secretaries presented their key milestones while making pledges for the coming year. That is on page 4. And in other news that is on the top page still, I see here taxes. KRA trains gun on diaspora. This is on the business page, that is page 28. And lastly, on the sports page, Tusker leaves teams with hangover. This is on the sport page, that is on page 38. And I also see here on page 3, still on Kiptum, that race against time to finish Kiptum House. And I also see on the national, that is on page 8, I see here that MPs to adopt a dialogue report and also begin debate. And also on the financial standard, that is on the pullout, how state plans to raid your pockets again to fund 4.2 trillion budget. Goal too far, missed tax target, shows economic plan, muted Valentine celebrations, a sign of tough times. That is a story you can look at on the financial standard pullout. And on the business daily as well, I see how regulator inflated power prices by 70 billion in 5 years. And on the second, on the third page, that is on the business page, the business daily, I see here tough CMA terms for bond issuers. Rules are part of the latest law changes aimed at restoring investor confidence in a market battered by a string of defaults over the last decade. In other news, I see Kenya's public debt crosses 11 trillion mark. That is on the economy page 4. Kenya's public debt shot up by 1.93 trillion in the year ended December 2023, raising the country's indebtedness to a new high of 11.14 trillion. That is quite unfortunate. I mean, it's like these debts are just increasing day in, day out. And on the back page of the Business Daily, banks hollow win over would-be disruptors. Changing consumer behavior made life trickier for would-be challengers to take aim at traditional lenders. Now, the last word, knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. This is from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. That's on the last word on the Business Daily. That's it for our papers today.
And so you can grab your favorite copy and get to update yourself on anything and everything that is happening both within and outside our country. Let's go so get to be informed, educated of our nation. And also as believers, we get to know how to pray for our leaders, get to know how to pray for our nation. And with that, 15 minutes to the top of the hour, 8 a.m., it is time for a musical break. This one is paving way for the video of the day, and then we shall be back.